What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and everything you need to know about on a daily basis, including the fourth stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and daily news, money, investing, the stock market. We cover it all here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. It just makes it so you won't miss out on our new videos. Remember, they come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll keep you up to date here. And also, thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. You guys are amazing. We got a lot to talk about here, so let's jump right in. We have several, quote, threats from Russia now. And these threats from Russia are growing increasingly more frequent and more severe. Check this out. The former Russian president, who was just president right before Putin in between his terms, just because of term limits, says that he threatens to retaliate against the West. In a post on Russian social media site, Dmitry Medvedev said that Russia is considering leaving its latest nuclear arms deal with the U.S. That alone says a lot. Cutting off diplomatic ties with the U.S. and the EU and freezing the assets of Western countries after many of them condemned Russia's invasion on Ukraine. He says, quote, "We are being driven out of everywhere, punished and threatened, but we don't feel scared." He said the U.S. has been cowardly in leaving Afghanistan and was using sanctions against Russia to make up for shameful decisions it had made in the past, according to the wire service. He says, quote, "There is no particular need in maintaining diplomatic relations with Western nations. We may look at each other in binoculars and gun sights," he says. He is now the deputy head of Russia's Security Council. Russia also says that the EU and countries that are supplying weapons, like the US has, supplying them to Ukraine, is no longer just passive or defensive moves, that those are actually aggressive moves, that they're basically participating in the war, and that Russia sees this as, you're involved in the war, you're giving them arms. So it is, I mean, you guys can let me know your thoughts here, but the question is how involved are we and the EU and NATO countries here? And I mean, you read headlines like this from USA Today, there may be risks, but the US will likely keep arming Ukraine, even if Russia takes Kiev. And I mean, it's really it's a tough situation. I mean, what are we supposed to do here? It's like you're caught between a rock and a hard place. It's not a position I would want to be as a president, because, like, what do? You can't not support them. You can't just let Russia bulldoze them. But on the other hand, you don't want to kind of start World War III. It's really just a tough position. And the U.S. urges any U.S. citizens in Russia, which there's probably a pretty decent amount, to consider leaving immediately. And you kind of wonder how many U.S. citizens are there. You got to think there's also a lot of Russian citizens and Ukrainian citizens here. How many U.S. citizens are in Russia? Yeah. It's been reported now that there's potentially over 6,000 Russians that have been arrested by their own country in Russia for protesting the war, and have been detained and thrown in jail or detainment camps or who knows where for protesting the war. And who knows what they might do to Americans in Russia as well. It's again, who knows how bad this is going to get the longer this goes on. Who knows how long this is going to go on, right? And here at home, U.S. cyber officials urge agencies to armor up for potentially Russia attacking us here at home, um, through the through the internet, and taking down our cyber defenses. I mean, this did potentially happen previously in the election, and could it happen again? And again, this all kind of makes us think: does this kind of draw us into a potential, World War III type of situation? And again, it's just kind of like, do we want this to happen? We got to be very careful here with how we play this situation, because it's just like, it's weird because it's, if you play the kind of like the Republicans criticizing Biden role here, right? You have Republicans criticizing Biden for being too soft on Russia, but then if you're too hard on Russia, you can't just go attack him, because then you start World War III. Then you'll have people saying, "Well, Biden started World War III," and then you'll have Republicans say, "Well, he started World War III. Look at what Biden did." So it's like, what are you too soft on Russia, or are you too hard on Russia, and then you start World War III? So it's a fine line here between. I think at best we don't want to start World War III. I think with the sanctions, for sure, these are by far the worst sanctions that have ever been done in the history of the world, ever, for any country, including Russia. They've never done these type of sanctions ever, as far as I've seen, as far as I've researched, as far as what they've said on TV as well. So, I mean, and apparently they're going to keep ratcheting this up if there's more. And the EU's doing this now. Multiple different countries, not just the U.S., right? There's all these other countries that are doing this more, and this could continue to get more and more and more. But it's like there's a fine line here between going to World War III and doing other stuff, right? It's just like, in my opinion, it's not something we want to do. I mean, you can let me know if you have a different opinion, and of course, everybody has different opinions. I just don't think we want to go there. And you got Russia, saying all these threatening things like, if you're supplying weapons to them, that's no longer passive. That's, it's a tricky situation. It's a tricky situation. And it's just, I could just see how this could just snowball into something that just gets out of control here. You just kind of think about how World War II started, and just all of a sudden the Pearl Harbor incident happened. Like, we didn't really initiate that per se, and then it just happened. Yeah, I mean, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I mean, do you think we're doing this right? It's just, it's a tricky situation. Meanwhile, back at home, another tricky situation here. Republican Senator Rick Scott from Florida. This is, I'll zoom out here so you can kind of see his face here. He was in a kind of a tricky situation here, too. He released a new tax plan that you guys let me know your thoughts here in this comments, or in the comment section. You can see here, new tax plan from leading GOP, which stands for Grand Old Party. It's an old nickname for the Republican Party. New tax plan from leading GOP senator would require all Americans to pay federal income taxes. Okay. Republican Senator Rick Scott from Florida releases 11-point platform, unapologetically says he wants to challenge Washington's status quo. Here's the details. Let me know your thoughts on this. A leading Republican senator faced backlash this week after calling for all Americans to start paying federal income taxes, leading to criticism from both the White House and leading conservative policy experts. Republican Senator Rick Scott, the head of the National Republican Senate Committee, released an 11-point plan to rescue America. That included a proposal for all Americans to pay some form of income tax, even if it was a nominal amount. He received so much blowback that he was forced to offer two caveats, insisting the new tax wouldn't apply to seniors or those who are not, as he described them, able-bodied to work. This is because roughly 50% of all Americans on the bottom half of the income distribution do not pay federal income taxes because they do not earn enough money to have income tax liability and because many receive tax credits. Even a lot of people who do pay a little bit of federal income tax, maybe through your paychecks, wind up getting it back through tax refunds. So if you are in maybe the lower 50% and you're thinking, man, I do pay federal income tax, a lot of times you actually end up getting that back through your refund check. So keep that in mind. But as you can see here, roughly 50% of Americans in the bottom half do not pay federal income tax. In fact, in 2020, 2021 data is not out yet because people are just filing their 2021 tax returns. So in 2020, that was underneath former President Donald Trump, 61% of households owed no federal income taxes. And this is because stimulus checks, there was two of them issued underneath Republican President, former President Donald Trump. Stimulus checks actually count as tax rebates, so that counts as part of your refunds as well. So that helped people kind of counteract if they paid a little bit of federal income tax as well. So in 2020, 61% of households owed no federal income taxes in 2020. But millions of Americans do pay federal and state government taxes through the form of payroll taxes, state taxes, sales taxes and other levies. But Republican Senator Rick Scott from Florida says all Americans should pay some income tax to have, quote, skin in the game, even if a small amount. His proposal states, currently over half of Americans pay no income tax. Scott wrote in the introduction to his plan, this plan is not for the faint of heart. Some Republicans defended the pitch by the senator. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich praised Scott for attempting to craft a Republican policy platform ahead of the 2022 midterm elections. While not endorsing all the platform-specific ideas, he says he's at least raising important questions. Should every American have some stake in the country? Rick would probably say he started the dance, but he doesn't think it's the final symphony. He and Kevin McCarthy are moving in the right direction, that we have to have something positive, both to communicate to the voters and get our candidates to think about governing next year, saying that the Republicans, if they win the House and or the Senate. So let me know your thoughts on this. Do you agree with this? Disagree with this? Let me know your thoughts on this, because I could definitely see some people saying yes, some people saying no. Pay your fair share, not pay your fair share. Again, 50 to 60% of Americans don't pay any federal income tax. A lot of people don't really realize this. And again, I'm not picking sides or anything. You guys can let me know your thoughts here. But generally, the lower income, lower 50 to 60%, in 2020, it was 61% based on data directly from the IRS, didn't pay any federal income tax. And if you think you paid some federal income tax and you're in the lower 61%, you got to kind of remember that if you got a tax refund, if you worked a job but you're in the lower 61%, your tax refund probably counteracted that, probably gave you the refund back. And also stimulus checks are refunds back on that federal income tax as well. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. So if you maybe paid a couple $100s in federal income tax, but then you got that $1,200 stimulus check one, and then the $600 stimulus check, or multiple stimulus checks for you and your spouse and your kids, You got to kind of keep those in mind as well. That's kind of why it went from 50% normally to like 61% in 2020. Uh, so just kind of keep those in mind that there's a lot of people that don't pay any taxes, at least federally. Now, of course, there's sales tax, there's social security tax, there's property tax, there's all sorts of different taxes here. There's a lot of different taxes. There's gas tax. There's a lot of different taxes, and that's why there's if you've been watching my show here, there's a lot of states that while the federal government is doing a lot of different things, and there's the Build Back Better stimulus package. We have stimulus package 1, stimulus package 2, stimulus package 3, and now they're kind of crafting a stimulus package 4 and kind of they're rewriting a stimulus package for Build Back Better. And there's a lot of states providing different things. If you've been watching my channel here, states are providing stimulus checks and tax cuts as well, and stimulus programs, rent assistance, mortgage assistance, utility assistance. A lot of states are giving back here as well. So there's all sorts of different money coming from different area. There's a lot of states giving out extra SNAP benefits as well. There's like over 40 million people that are on SNAP and are getting basically pandemic SNAP assistance, extra SNAP money from SNAP that comes from the states. There's pandemic EBT. I just did a video on both of that and Social Security raises, hopefully here coming soon. But let me know your thoughts on, do you think that everybody should pay federal taxes as well? Because if you didn't know that, not everybody does. So what do you think about that Republican proposal? And again, you could make the argument either way, but you let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country that you need to know about. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. Just click the subscribe button. It just makes it so you won't miss out on new videos. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And this video is my new video about Social Security raises, SNAP raises, and pandemic EBT raises. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.